Good afternoon, guys. This is Ian
And
down
Ryan.
here with Ryan. We're going to get into our basic surf fishing lure selection here. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. Boop, 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 right down there on the bottom of the video here.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
We both appreciate it.
All right, let's get started.
Let's do this.
So when you guys are fishing at night, what is your equipment and how do you organize it?
So first thing I will talk about today, having the right surf bag. Unfortunately, we do not carry this, but this is the Gear Up surf bag that I use. It's a little on the pricier side. It's got three slots where you can put your lures in. One thing I definitely would recommend is getting a good surf bag or a sling pack or something like that that's waterproof or can take water, because you're in the surf, obviously you're getting hit by waves pretty consistently. I think Ian's got a different bag.
Yeah, so we all have our personal preferences, and there's no right or wrong answers here. This is a sling pack.
We do carry that.
Over the shoulder. We have this in stock. It's the most affordable sling pack we have over there too, which is nice. I like this because it kind of has a larger capacity, so I can fit a couple trays in here. I can fit my water bottle, maybe a rain jacket in the pouch here too. So super versatile, nice size.
Definitely.
What do you guys look for when you are scouting a beach?
So me personally, I do a lot of my scouting in broad daylight because obviously you can't see a lot. So let me backtrack real quick. Me and Ian do most of our fishing in the nighttime. Obviously, this is a night video, but we do most of our scouting at low tide during the daylight hours, and I think that's the best approach, because you need to find those spots. You need to find differences in the environment where the stripers are going to hang out primarily.
I would say it's pretty common knowledge that dawn and dusk are two of your best times.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously after dark, we're not going to see where we're casting to. We're not going to see current. But I would get up early and maybe fish for first light, so you can get the lay of the land and see what you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
What about the tides and the moon phases?
So we went over it before. I like a falling tide.
Yes.
But
Me
then
personally,
moon phase is going to affect that tide massively. So full moon, new moons are going to be big, full flowing tides there.
You're gonna look a lot of times when the moon is at when you have a new or full moon, the tide difference is going to be a lot higher than the half moon. So you have to look at that, and sometimes that larger differences can affect the fishing spot for better or for worse. Like the canal, for example, everyone knows breaking tides during the full and new moon, where the tide's in negative and there's less water in the canal than usual, so that's usually the best time to fish. But it really is spot dependent. Me personally, I like a new moon. I like the added darkness. Personally, I feel like bigger stripers tend to come out more when it's darker, and they like to come up in that shallow water because they feel safe.
Yeah, for the shore fishing, we're definitely looking for them to feel comfortable coming in shallow. It was like Ryan picked up on it earlier. We do probably 90% of my fishing during the dark hours. So you won't see me getting a suntan.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Now surely landing and releasing fish can be pretty tricky in the dark.
Yeah, that is a challenge, especially when you got waves crashing over you have a big nor'east blow in your face. But I've talked about earlier, the striped bass population is not doing too well, so you need to make sure you release all those bigger fish safely and make sure you revive them. So you might have to get a little wet to do that. But having a nice set of pliers and a boga grip or a fish grip is essential.
And also, as you can see with all the plugs out in front of us, I've got this rigged up with single hooks. These are the BKKs. You're taking 2 trebles off of every hook. That's a possibility of putting it through your finger in the dark, which is really nice.
And unfortunately, a lot of my plugs still have the back treble on them, but what I do with a lot of my plugs is I debarb the hooks, especially the back ones. That back tail hook, unfortunately, is where you're going to do the most damage to a fish, not the front one. And this year I have done a lot of experimenting. The stripers, for the most part, are going to aim at the head. They are going to attack the head of any prey animal to knock it out. So when you have that belly hook right there, they're going to come and grab it like this, say 90% of the time. They're not going to come from behind usually. So the added advantage of not having a back hook or maybe an inline is they can't use the leverage of that hook to pull free. And trust me, it's happened plenty of times this year. So
And it only happens when it's like right at your feet, and you can just watch that like 30-pounder swim away.
It's happened at the canal this year, so.
Yeah, definitely. It's happened to all of us.
Yep.
The best retrieve for a sinking pencil.
So I would say the best retrieve for pretty much anything is a slow retrieve. So I mean like very, very slow.
I personally don't fish pencils at night. I know some people do. It's not my particular thing. A lot of people like to use bottle plugs at night. Or not bottle plugs, Polaris poppers. We have the big ocean-born poppers, and a lot of people use like the really dark ones at night. And me personally, I don't like that technique as much. It's a more popular technique in Montauk, but not really here on the Cape.
What is the best color to throw at night?
So we have a bunch of plugs up here with my favorite color at night. This like black, blue, chrome Yozuri. This is the little mag minnow. I like that. He's got it down there in the mag darter, which is a beautiful. We got it in a smaller mag darter. That's absolutely my lights out.
However,
lure for
I will say during the new moon, black and over purple, darker color is always going to win. However, I think during the full moon, yellow over white or bone that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, white is pretty, or yellow is pretty pro.
So, yeah, as you can see, this SP minnow has been beat up. Stripers do, and there is a study on this, you can look it up. Stripers do tend to pick up bone and yellow and chartreuse white. They pick up those colors a lot better than other colors, so that's also something to consider.
Yeah, it's not what we see, it's what the fish sees.
Exactly.
Does the moonlight really make a difference?
100%.
100% for sure. Absolutely.
I like new moon 100 times better than full moon, but you can still catch them during the full moon. So
You guys mentioned the canal,
No.
but what are some tips on how to fish it safely at night?
Don't go alone.
Yeah.
Do not go alone. Go with a nice headlamp. Have your croakers or some form of cleated boot.
The cleated boot is key. I know it's kind of dorky, but knee pads, that actually is, you fall down a lot, and you don't want to take out your knee when you fall and slip on a rock.
Or even wrist braces. And I have personally seen two people break their wrists taking a spill, and they put their hands out.
Yep.
And this is not enjoyable.
Another thing is, and I know none of you guys are going to do it, but if you wear a life jacket when you're fishing on the jetty or canal, that can really save your life sometimes. It's happened to me where I've fallen into the this happened in Atlantic City back in my home waters in Jersey before I came up here, where I did fall into the water, and coming back out of that environment is tough. So definitely wear a life jacket if you're fishing like really, really thick, nasty northeast winds.
And I know everybody wants to stay dry, but probably wearing your waders isn't the best thing. If you do end up slipping in or landing a fish, you end up in the drink a little bit. If you swamp those waders in the canal, that is a situation I don't want to hear about.
Yeah, it's not likely to happen just because it's a little more protected and it's actually in a ditch. But I mean, you go onto the east tip, like that area is exposed, or just any other jetty. So
Be safe.
yeah, really.
Definitely be safe. Always err on the side of caution. Always. It's just a fish.
Live to fish another day.
Yeah.
Moving on to something a little bit happier. What is your favorite plug to fish at night?
Oh, you can't answer that question.
So I don't have it here because I've lost a couple of them this summer, but I absolutely go to the hydro minnow in this color. Lights out for
I'm
me.
gonna give a little story real quick and brag about you. Me and him went fishing. It was actually the first time he took me fishing, and I had an SP minnow and a mag darter, and we were fishing really shallow water, and I was running a bottom, but he had the hydro minnow, which goes a little bit shallower, and he was out fishing me 100%. Yeah, I think he caught like 30 fish that night.
It was a good night. It was a good night.
Nothing huge, but there was a lot of
A lot of good times.
lot of slots.
Yeah, a lot of slots. Good times with the boys. Can't complain.
Any tips for the Brewster Flats at night?
So, shallow runners. I don't know. Everybody sleeps on these things. Don't sleep on this. This is Money Bag's like inside tip of the day. I got 2 of these. I get gifted this. It's slammed on. They cast great. It's basically like a floating needle, you know, but it kind of works like a walk the dog, like finesse pencil / floating needle. I love the action on them. I've done great, low light or at night.
Nothing looks more like a sand deal than that, I would say.
That, and then the Savage Gear makes these little like floaty body, soft plastics. I would probably rig this with like a like something similar to what Ryan's got this Thuggo hooked up with, maybe with those owner the weighted swimbait hooks. But skinny water and Brewster flats. Also, err on the side of caution out there because we all know the tide comes in pretty quick. It'll be over your waders before you know it.
Wetsuiting is a great idea. Please
Yeah,
do that.
wetsuiting.
Another safety tip, real quick.
Don't
Wetsuit.
go alone again.
Yes.
Red headlight versus regular. Does it really make a difference?
Yes.
It makes a big difference, especially with other people you're spending out on the fishing spot with. Red lamp is not going to ruin your night fishing. It's not going to ruin the people that you're fishing around's night fishing either. And most of the time, short of like changing the lure from retying, I don't need a white light, you know.
Red light also does not penetrate the water. And a lot of times, when you have that white light on a completely dark beach, that's going to scare the fish away. And also, you don't want to shine your white light in your buddy's face and completely take out his night vision. That's not cool. Please don't do that.
Seeing spots for 20 minutes.
Which is another reason why I have the white bag, so people can see me on the beach. By the way, we've been plenty of times where me and him have gone out and one of us gets there beforehand. We're trying to find each other. You don't want to shine a light in someone's face. So that's how you really piss off people.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best color Danny to creep?
So
Yellow?
me personally, yeah, I would say yellow. But me personally, I don't really focus too much on colors. I usually just go have a darker pattern and a lighter pattern. But for Danny plugs, for the most part, I'm used fishing with a whiter one. I do have some black ones, obviously, but this is an Outcast Danny. I have this, you can have them tuned to where they go right on the surface, and you just creep them like this, so they're only going to see the belly part. So, honestly, in new moon or full moon, I've caught a lot of decent-sized fish on this plug this year.
Yeah, I like to use them kind of like a wake bait.
Yeah, no, they're awesome.
What's the best way to catch them at the canal during the nighttime?
Jig.
Yeah, Jake.
Jig for real.
If you're another way you can do them is rigged eels. There's a lot of really heavy jig heads you can use, and this is kind of like the lazy man's way. Is you just take that eel and put it on the jig head. I think we have some Joe Bags jig heads, which would be pretty good for that as well. They range anywhere from half an ounce to I think 3 ounces. You can rig the eel on that jig head and then put multiple zip ties so the eel doesn't fall out.
Do big spooks work at night?
So I had great success. You know, you always like pick up on things. So I was fishing my favorite cotton cordell right around dusk, and I just kept it on and using a really slow retrieve. And I wouldn't use the standard like exaggerated pencil technique, but I think if you slow it down and you make it more subtle, just give a fish a little bit better time to latch onto it, it can be super effective.
Go to bucktail colors.
Go to bucktail colors. I like white
Yeah,
or
definitely.
pink personally.
For nighttime, this is like that bunker color. I mentioned it in my last video, I still haven't done but the dark shad is like a dark green with the gold too. Is a really good one.
That's another Joe Bags product. This is the Joe Bags Bucktail, and it's got a lot of nice feathers, and they undulate really well. When I use that primarily in the early season, like around May and June when there's still squid around, because I don't think anything would imitate a squid better than that personally. But yeah, I don't bucktail too much around here, honestly. A lot of the times if I'm fishing on the bottom, it's with Savage Gears or these voodoo shads, basically like a tsunami swim shad, but it's a little bit tougher, and I think it undulates a lot better, or just a regular piece of plastic on the jig head.
What darters do you guys have in stock?
So, Jake's dad, Phil, one night, another story time real quick, we were out fishing, and he had this in the orange color, and it was, I don't remember what moon it was in particular, but they would only hit this darter. It was really bizarre, and I was throwing everything. But this is the Ocean-born flying darter. I prefer the floating. That night in particular, I know he was using the super long distance. I think they had to get out to a further bar out there, but these darters are really cool. Another darter we have is the North Baller. I like these a lot when there's less current, personally. I think currently right now we have Smoky Joe and Lime and Chartreuse, that's a great color during a new moon. But
I like that color.
yeah,
That's nice.
this is a sand deal one. We are out of stock in this color in particular, but this has caught me some decent fish this year. Nothing crazy big, but a few slots.
Few salties.
Yeah,
Do you guys use needlefish at night?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like a Cape Cod classic, you know. Stedco. I mean, that's like
Tony-
that's all he used.
Tony Stetsko caught a 73 pounder, I think, on one of his needles at Nauset Beach years ago. And I used to have one. Unfortunately, a striper literally destroyed the hook hanger on it. So
That's a beautiful problem to have.
yeah, it was a big fish, unfortunately. But
Nice super
But-
strike over here, then.
we do have a super strike. This has only one hook on it, and it's got a nice feathered trailer in the back. This still sinks level. It's a slow sinking needle. I don't like the fast sinking needles as much. Jake, on the other hand, he loves the fast sinking needles, and there's been plenty of times where he's been out fishing me quite a bit. But I like the slow sinking needles personally because I seem to find shallower water when I'm at Nauset Beach or Coast Guard.
I do love a fast sinking needle.
I know you do.
They cast, nothing's really gonna cast like that.
Speaking of needlefish, I'm gonna digress real quick. So this is the Allen's glide bait. You're going to be getting these in very soon with Allen's needlefish, which I'm pretty
And the
pumped.
combats, personal.
This is also
and
this is
money
also
bags
a,
approved.
this is also a canal color.
Yeah,
So
very nice.
Best live bait to use.
eels.
Eels, like there's no competition. There's just
Nope.
isn't, you know.
Make sure you use circle hooks now.
You know.
That is now required by law.
Last question here. It's gonna be a tough one for you, I know. What is your go-to #1 nighttime look? It's a tough one.
I don't know.
You had one.
If I had one,
Come back to me in an hour.
I would say the Mag Darter. I think I've caught more fish on the Mag Darter this year than any other lure. It hasn't caught me my biggest fish, but as far as consistency goes, I think it was my most consistent lure. I personally like this a lot because I know a lot of people, especially in freshwater, they love the rattle sound. This one doesn't have a rattle, and I think larger stripers, I think they're smart. I think some of them have been caught before. They know that rattle sound is no good. So I personally think without the rattle, it just has what makes this Mag Darter neat compared to like an SP Minnow or Hydra Minnow, the face is the lip. It has a really, really nice tight wiggle compared to like a wider wiggle of like a Redfin or SP Minnow or Hydra Minnow. So I feel like that's a little bit of a different presentation. And without the rattle, it still has the magnet transfer system, so it casts like a bullet. But I think that would be my personal favorite.
Yeah, I mean the Hydro Minnow did so much damage for me personally, just because the conditions where I fish, it can generally be really shallow. You can catch big fish like really deep into the outgoing tide. So I'm really dealing with skinny water. So I really like that black and chrome Hydro Minnow. Did a lot of work for me this summer. But then also an RIP because she got lost. But we're gonna go Wounded Soldier SP.
Oh, that was a good
That thing did that Senorita color as you guys saw in the last video.
That one absolutely
That thing got absolutely the paint beat off of it. But I love that
50
Wounded
fish
Soldier.
one night, this man.
I don't even. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not even
Ridiculous.
sure.
I don't even know where to start.
But yeah, the Hydra Minnow that's a beast.
Yeah, I love those plugs. But this has just been an intro to the lures we use generally at night. It's been Moneybags McP and El Crunch out here signing off. Have a great day, you guys.
Take care.